Did you hear about the time the Olympic torch relay nearly went tits up because of a prank? Well, now you have whenever you finish this video. The torch relay was one of the most important traditions of the Olympic Games, dating all the way back to ancient Greece, where they would keep the torch lit throughout the duration of the Games. It was more dangerous then because all the athletes were naked and they were oiled up. The flame, which sits in this big cauldron, it's been all around the world. It made its first stop in Australia in 1956 when Melbourne hosted the Olympics. I don't really remember it because I wasn't born at the time, but I'm told it was a pretty big deal for Australia. They held the equestrian events 5 months early because horses hate this country. I don't really care about any of that. So, you know, the fire. The Olympic torch starts its journey at Olympia, where some fella runs it down to Athens, which is like 2 days away. So is it just one guy? Why doesn't he just drive? From there, it was put in this lantern and got a first-class Qantas ticket on Southern Horizon, this really fancy plane, straight to Darwin, and then over to Queensland, which, like, just make the one stop. Hang on, they took an Air Force jet to get there. 2 entire planes for a bit of fire. Just use like a match. Use an official Olympic lighter. They're marketing to smokers. The first Australian Olympic torch was lit in Cairns. It had a silver handle and a little open bit on top. It's hard to describe. Here's a picture. They didn't plan this, did they? It was supposed to travel from Cairns to Sydney, and then to Canberra, and then to Melbourne, but fuck me, it went through an ordeal. It went out a couple of times. It was so hot that it burned a couple of runners, and it rained heavily a bunch of the time as well. This is the year that they discovered that rain puts out fires. Oh, and someone dropped it near Lismore. Good one, dickhead. Cross-country runner Harry Dillon was supposed to hand it off to Sydney's mayor, Pat Hills, who was gonna do a speech and then hand it to the next guy and so on and so on. But some uni students had a different idea. These students hated the relay because it started in Germany and Germany did some bullshit years before, I don't know. But the important thing is, they wanted to fuck with it. And fuck with it, they did. These boys made a fake Olympic torch out of an old table leg with a plum tin on top. They spray painted the whole thing silver, chucked in a pair of undies, soaked in kerosene, lit it up. The perfect forgery. The plan was for one of the students to snake into the relay, holding the fake torch, right? But the guy who was meant to do it dropped the undies out of it, and then he panicked and ran off. I suppose because there was just flaming undies on the floor. One of the guys, Peter Grelton, ran in and grabbed the hot boxes, and he told his mate Barry Larkin to grab the torch. When old Bazza had the torch, put him back in, and he told him to run. 30,000 people lined up to get a glimpse of this runner, and out comes Barry in his fucking school uniform. He even got a police escort as he runs up and hands this fake torch to Mayor Hilsey. And then he disappears into the crowd. Hilsey, wondering why the torch was slightly sticky, started doing his speech. The torch arrived 15 minutes early and he wasn't ready, but he just jumped straight into it until one of his aides snuck up and said, "Hey mate, why does it say Mum's Plums on the torch and not Melbourne Olympics?" And then it dawned on him. He wasn't holding an Olympic torch. He was holding a table leg spray painted silver with a tin of plums on top that contained a kerosene-soaked clump of undies that smelled faintly like pubic hair. Yuck! The mayor tried to find old Bazza, but he was gone, like a fart in the wind. But Barry was interviewed about the event years later.
The noise was quite staggering. There were flashes of photography. I felt very strange because I knew I was carrying a fake torch. The only thing I could think about was, what do I do when I got there? I was helped by Pat Hills. I just turned around and walked back down the steps, through the crowd and onto a tram and back to college.
What are you doing with my microphone?
Eventually, the real runner, Harry Dillon, arrived, but by this point, the crowd was pissed. Poor Mayor Hilsey had to try and calm the crowd down while the police cleared a path for Hazza. Bert Button, the next runner, had to have a path cleared by the army because people were still going bonkers. There were women screaming, "Oh, somebody think of the children!" Just calm down, hey. Barry, on the other hand, was given a standing ovation by his university and even personally congratulated by the director of the college. What? That can't be true. So what happened to the fake torch? Some bloke who was helping with the relay took it home, chucked it under his bed, and then fucking lost it. As for the official torch, it was eventually carried to the cauldron thing by a guy named Ron Clark, who burned his arm as he was lighting it. Good. Dating all the way back to ancient Greece, where they would keep... Wow, that's a loud mudlark.
This is gonna be a fucking nightmare. Hold up.